TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel relays a message to the International Court of Justice that after the ICJ decrees a halt to the IDF's military operation in Rafah, EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell tells EU member states that they must choose between support for international institutions and the State of Israel. U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson asserts that the United States will stand in bipartisan support against international institutions targeting Israel. Israel will stand firm in the face of baseless accusations of deceit and will perform its duty to protect its citizens and sovereignty in conformity with international law. With that being said, Jerusalem remains determined to achieve its war objectives versus the murderous Islamist Hamas and its terror affiliates in the Gaza Strip, as was clearly cited by Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant during a tour of the Rafah sector.
First and foremost, our goal in the Gaza Strip, and it is amplified here in Rafah, is to eliminate Hamas, to return the hostages, and to maintain freedom of operation. These are central. Freedom of operation will be manifest in every place that we determine. To occupy the Rafah border crossing, to destroy the tunnels and military infrastructure is very important for this matter. With regard to the hostages, we are employing extensive efforts. We've done so up until now, are doing as we speak, and we will continue to do so in the future in every possible way. Also via physical measures, and also by attempting to reach arrangements. Remember, your task is to eliminate Hamas and to win this campaign, while our task is to take your achievements and transform it into the next phase in the Gaza Strip and throughout the entire Middle East, both of which are intertwined with one another.
It is important to note that the International Court of Justice read out its ruling on Friday, relayed by the court's president, Nawaf Salam, demanding Israel end its military operation in Rafah.
The State of Israel shall, in conformity with its obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, and in view of the worsening conditions of life faced by civilians in the Rafah Governorate, A, by 13 votes to 2, immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah Governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that would bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part.
The ICJ's president, who formerly served as Lebanon's ambassador to the United Nations and who publicly expressed anti-Israel sentiments, alongside proactive efforts to target Israel's military within international fora, went on to insist that Israel's unprecedented success of relocating over 1 million Palestinian non-combatants from Rafah to designated humanitarian zones was not enough to protect Gazan civilians.
The court is not convinced that the evacuation efforts and related measures that Israel affirms to have undertaken to enhance the security of civilians in the Gaza Strip, and in particular those recently displaced from the Rafah Governorate, are sufficient to alleviate the immense risk to which the Palestinian population is exposed as a result of the military offensive in Rafah.
While not responding to the letter of the provisional measures cited by the ICJ, Jerusalem's National Security Council and Foreign Ministry spokesman released a statement rebutting South Africa's blatant accusations regarding genocide as false, outrageous, and disgusting. In their statement, they reiterated that following the terrible terrorist attack against Israeli citizens on October 7th of 2023, Israel embarked on a just, defensive war to eliminate the Hamas organization and to free our hostages. Israel does this in accordance with its right to defend its territory and its citizens while maintaining moral values, international law, and international humanitarian law. Moreover, in contrast to South Africa's shameless allegations, Israel has not carried out and will not carry out military activity in the Rafah area that creates living conditions that could lead to the elimination of the Palestinian civilian population in whole or in part. Furthermore, Jerusalem reiterated its unwavering efforts to enable the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip and to operate in conformity with international law to limit harm to the civilian population in the enclave as much as possible. Meanwhile, in Rafah, while IDF forces were operating approximately 800 meters from a concealed Hamas launching pad, the Islamist terror group launched a barrage of 8 projectiles toward Israel's central communities.
IDF troops are continuing to fight in all parts of the Gaza Strip. Today, Hamas terrorists fired 8 rockets from Rafah toward the Gush Dan and Sharon areas. Some were intercepted, and at some of the sites of impact, damage occurred as a result of shrapnel from the projectiles. The launches were carried out approximately 800 meters from IDF troops operating in the area. As IDF troops approached, Hamas emptied the ammunition they had and launched the rockets from within the civilian population. We see this mode of operation in many places where we operate. Hamas is fearful of its ammunition and those same rockets, and they carry out launches when they see IDF troops approaching them. They fired from between a mosque and a school. We struck and destroyed the launcher shortly after the launch, and our troops are continuing to operate in the area. This is Hamas's method of carrying out terrorist activities under the cover of the civilian population against the citizens of the State of Israel.
One of the intercepted projectiles, which was launched by Hamas, struck a home of an 84-year-old lady in the city of Herzliya, just north of Tel Aviv.
There were sirens, which everyone heard. We went under the ceiling, where me and the caregiver stood. After it was quiet, we waited a few minutes. I came to the living room to see the news on the TV, and she caregiver entered the room, and suddenly there was a huge boom and smoke and fire and dust all over the house. And she fell, probably from the shock, from the fear, I don't know. She got hit in the rear end, real hard. She apparently fell hard. She was taken to a hospital for examination. And you see the results.
In response to the barrage of rockets from Rafah towards central Israel, War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz asserted that it proved that the IDF must operate in every place where Hamas is situated.
The rocket fire from Rafah today proves that the IDF must operate in every place where Hamas is situated, as this is the way it shall be. The world must know, whoever holds our hostages captive, whoever fires at our cities, whoever exports terror, is the one bearing full responsibility. The Hamas murderers are war criminals, and we will settle score with all of them, sooner or later.
Meanwhile, IDF forces continue to operate in the Rafah sector.
In Rafah, the troops are continuing to operate precisely against terrorism, to destroy tunnel shafts, strike launchers, target terrorist infrastructure, and eliminate terrorists. In the northern Gaza Strip, IDF troops are continuing to operate in Jabaliyah. Today, the forces raided terrorist infrastructure, where they located large quantities of weapons as well as documents that were transferred for intelligence investigation to be fully utilized.
While Israel continues to fight against Islamist Hamas, an EU-designated terrorist group since 2003, the European Union's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Josep Borrell, who's been a vocal critic of the Jewish state, proclaimed after the ICJ's ruling on Friday that EU member states will now have to choose between their relations with international institutions and the rule of law, as he put it, and the State of Israel.
Let's see which is going to be the answer of the European Union to the ruling of the International Court of Justice that has been issued today, which is going to be our position. We will have to choose between our support to the international institution and the rule of law or our support to Israel. And both things is going to be quite difficult to make compatible.
The notion by Borrell poses a genuine challenge for Israel's closest allies in Europe, which are constitutionally subjected to international treaties, which essentially gain precedence over sovereign national laws. And while German Chancellor Olaf Scholz urged judges to take the fact into account that Israel is a democratic state with a strong and independent judiciary, Berlin's top diplomats stressed ahead of an EU Foreign Affairs Council meeting that the provisional measures decreed by the ICJ are binding.
These provisional measures of the ICJ, they are binding, and of course they have to be followed. We are currently experiencing the opposite. There have been more rockets on Tel Aviv from Hamas. And at the same time we see that it is no gain for Israel's security, that no hostage will be freed if more people now have to shelter in tents. International law, international humanitarian law, applies to everyone, including Israeli warfare.
In contrast to European nations who've relinquished their sovereignty to international institutions that are essentially run by citizens of non-democratic regimes, the United States stands firm in the face of evil.
Sadly, since the massacre of October 7th, we have seen an alarming increase in the dark forces of anti-Semitism and terror and oppression. Let me say this as clearly as we can. We will not and we cannot allow the darkness to prevail. We will not do it. Instead, what we are going to do is we're going to stand together for the light of God and for the goodness and mercy and virtue and human dignity that must remain as our fixed values and our only path towards human flourishing. We must proclaim never again, and at the same time we have to affirm that all hope is not lost, that darkness will not prevail. Today, as international bureaucrats have issued arrest warrants for Israel's leaders and likened Israel's just war to the barbarism of October 7th, Washington has been united, I'm proud to tell you, in a bipartisan manner against this madness, and we will stand together.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our productions, which are exclusively donation-based and as such broadcast free of charge, please consider making a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Essen, wishing you a Shavuot Tov u'Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.